Welcome to another Spot On Chat. I'm Rebecca Monet with Zorakle Profiles. Zorakle provides profiling tools to franchisors and franchise consultants that helps facilitate a right fit between a prospective franchisee and a franchise concept. I have back today with me Tim Vogel. He's the founder and CEO of Scenthound. He's also a seed planter, a growth seeker, a possibility purveyor, and a process-driven optimist. So welcome back, Tim.
Great. Thanks for having me.
So I loved our last conversation. I could discuss that topic for forever and ever. Those of you that didn't listen in, Tim was sharing with us about blind spots and knowing what our superpower is. So you may want to go back and listen to that if you're coming to this. But my question now for you, Tim, is about entrepreneurship. Specifically, you're acting as a board member on the Entrepreneurs Organization, and you're the chair for the accelerated program. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you got involved and what how that benefits you and how that benefits others?
Yeah, so it's called EO, and it stands for Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a global organization. And it's really there to create a community for entrepreneurs to support each other. And so, I originally started this business as a mobile pet grooming business, and quickly realized when I got into it that it wasn't scalable in the way I thought it was, and it kind of didn't align with kind of the vision I had, and I felt stuck. And so I really sought out a place to help me kind of get unstuck, and I found EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organization. But I didn't meet their requirements at the time. And so you have to be a founder of a business that's making at least $1 million or more annually, have to have a certain amount of employees and stuff like that. And so, but they did have an incubator group called Accelerator. And the Accelerator Incubator group really puts you through kind of building the infrastructure necessary to scale your business. And so I was in a group with 6 other entrepreneurs with a moderator who's from EO. We met every month. We had quarterly meetings where we learned about either cash strategy, execution, or people, dug deep into those kinds of things. And I was in that several years until I was able to actually scale my business over $1 million. Well, I love that community so much. I love the energy of the entrepreneurs that I came back and I joined EO, and then I came back as a coach. And so I coach groups of entrepreneurs. And quite honestly, teaching or coaching is the best possible learning. So, I kind of got the concepts, then I applied them in my business, but then to go back and to work with each of the individual businesses about kind of all of these different systems and processes, I really was questioning myself, like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this? Do I really understand it in the right way enough to teach somebody? And so that continued. So to ultimately running the program. So then taking over the program and then bringing all the coaches together, and really proud in my first year, I grew up from 29 CEOs to 51, and we got 13 of those businesses over $1 million within a year. And so really loved being a part of that program, and I'd been part of it years. My chair on that just sunsetted recently, so I'm actually no longer the chair, and we've handed that off to somebody else. But that program is for South Florida, one of the larger programs in the world, but those programs are all over the world as accelerator programs too. And so that really, really, really cool experience. EO has actually been a really great, and I don't mean this to be an EO commercial, but EO is also a great place for me because I'm in 2 different forums. I've got a local South Florida chapter. There's 7 CEOs in that group. We meet once a month, and we really share experiences. And there's a tremendous amount of learning, and that creates a really safe place for us to be able to explore our leadership styles, our blind spots, develop our skills. And then recently, about 1.5 years ago, I joined another forum. It's a national forum of just CEOs of franchise systems. And so there's 9 of us in that, and we share everything because, again, we've got this confidentiality and this Gestalt mindset where we never say, you should do this. We only say, I've had a similar situation. Here's what I did. Here was the outcome, which we can then learn from each other's experiences. And I am the moderator of that group, which is really great. And so we get together 4 times a year. One of those times is in person, and then we go visit kind of other franchises, see how they're running things, but learn from each other. And so that's really been a powerful experience for me my growth kind of in the franchise learning, because, running a business is different than running a franchise business.
Mm-hmm.
My growth in that area has been exponential because of these resources and these conversations and these questions and seeing what everyone else is doing and the decisions that they're making has been really, really helpful in kind of my personal growth. So
This is just amazing. And what's amazing to me is you're technically in 3 groups, and in each one of them, you're getting value. And, one of the biggest things about being an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur also, as you know, um, is it's a very isolating, lonely place to be unless you have a peer that
yes.
you can be sharing with. And in this case, you got many that and sometimes you're acting as a coach to some in the accelerator program. And in other cases, it's peer to peer. In other cases, it's a specific model of business, franchising, where you're sharing all kinds of insight that you could learn those things, but you'd learn them through the school of hard knocks, right? And it would take a whole lot longer than talking with your peers. And like you said, here's what I did in that situation. Here's an obstacle I overcome, or whatever. So you're constantly learning at the same time sharing.
Yeah, and I think it's critical if you're really gonna if you really want to be successful in the entrepreneurial world, is that you've got to involve yourself with some kind of source for kind of coaching. So get a coach, get in a peer group, but get into some place that's going to challenge your thinking, because you can be very isolating and it can be very lonely. And these are big, tough decisions that you need to talk through, but you might not be able to talk through with the people that you work with, or even with your family. So some of these times are tough places that if you've got a coach or an outlet where you can have those conversations, it'll really help you kind of on a business front, but also kind of on a psychological front, to kind of work through some of these tough issues. Because when I first joined Accelerate, I was stuck. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't know how to base my decisions. And then getting into this group with all of these other entrepreneurs and realizing I wasn't alone, and realizing all the problems were the same, and realizing all these different decisions resulted in all these kind of different things. And then I could make kind of better, more informed decisions. And kind of some of the other things that come out of that too is trust yourself,
Yes.
trust God. It's all within you. You gotta, if you're gonna bet on someone, bet on yourself. All those kinds of things come out of that too. So
Yeah. So it's a combination: cheerleader, sage, wise advisors that you have,
yeah.
and also friendships that are getting forged
Even
here.
meaningful, because you're in this thing together, right? And you understand each other on a level that most people don't understand you. And I think the other thing, one of the reasons I actually chose to franchise, is because I fell in love with the entrepreneurial journey. And I really love kind of like me starting for kind of not being an entrepreneur to kind of learning what it meant, and then the successes, the struggles, all that stuff was just so compelling and fun for me, that coaching then became so rewarding, watching someone else go through that and being able to assist them on their journey. Now bringing a franchisee in and helping them kind of achieve kind of whatever their vision is and go through that journey as well. It's just so massively rewarding and fun that franchising was just the place I had to go.
Yeah. You've been there, you've done that, so you can walk others through it.
Yeah. So franchising is really helping someone on the entrepreneurial journey in kind of the most safe and de-risked way that because you know the model, you know the systems, you know the all the failure points, you've tested everything. So now you can help somebody and then guide them and move, help them move in the right direction. And obviously you have, as an entrepreneur, you have to trip over your own truth. So ask the right questions to help them come to the right conclusions and all that other kind of stuff.
It's interesting as you talk. The thing that popped up in my head is those individuals that have, let's call it, big egos or pride. Oftentimes I see that think they already know it all. They're not coachable, or they're not self-aware, as you pointed. They don't have an accurate self-assessment. There's oftentimes pushback from them. But even in that situation, if you're in a group, and you can observe others going through similar situation. I would think a certain level of humility and self-awareness comes simply by being in an entrepreneur group or being with a franchisor who's giving you some feedback. But have you ever dealt with that where one of your franchisees or entrepreneurs in one of your groups really had a hard time letting go of ego and accepting feedback?
Yeah, it's part of being human, obviously. And and in Accelerator, you see the people that move forward that are coachable and the people that don't because they kind of need to be right all the
They
time.
need to be right. Yeah.
And so one of the sayings we have here is not coachable equals death. And so when we actually select franchisees, coachable is one of the key metrics we look for.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not coachable, and if they want to tell you what's up versus listen and hear kind of what your opportunity is, then we
It's
select
just not
out.
right.
Yeah,
It's not the right, you've been through it. You've built your business. If one's unwilling to accept that coaching, it's to their own, like you said, it's their own death in this case and a waste of your time to do that. But I see it, having worked with entrepreneurs since the late 80s as a one-to-one coach. We called it therapy back then. Now we
yeah,
call it coaching.
yeah,
But I
totally.
was a therapist to just business owners.
Okay.
And there was times you're like, you're doing this in spite of your nose, kind of thing. You're not going to succeed if you can. Oh, but this is my baby, and this is like the way and it's like, put it aside. It's a business, right? Get that pride out. You know, pride
Yeah,
cometh before the fall, they say, right?
and so we develop an identity, and we oftentimes find ourselves protecting that identity at
It's
this
true.
for the sake of we don't know what, but for the sake of that identity not being violated. And if you can put that aside and learn to be humiliated a little bit, meaning people know that you're not amazing at everything, and
Yeah.
you can then it opens up the opportunity for learning and growth and all
And
that.
it's okay to be ignorant, right? Because at least we can learn, right? The brain has that capacity and we
Yeah,
can try new things, but it really does, as you pointed out, require a certain self-assessment and then putting yourself around peers and folks that are a step ahead of you so you can be learning, and then also folks that are a step behind you that you can help in that way. But it requires those things. But it means sometimes we have to put our identity and our ego and our pride aside just a little bit and be willing to learn, willing to be coached, willing
I,
to.
I, I think the skill that I continue to try to get better at, and I think we in my entrepreneurial forums try to get better at, is getting comfortable in that uncomfortable place where
Yeah,
you just kind of look silly and you just kind of don't know and you're kind of feeling around in the dark. It's actually a good place. It's not a bad place.
it's a vulnerable place, but ultimately in our vulnerability, we are lifted up. So
Yeah,
would you consider that part of your superpower then?
yeah, it's a skill. It's a skill that I've really developed quite a bit over the last, I'd say, 10 years and gotten better and better at, which is continues to accelerate my growth and learning. And so, yeah, that's an absolute skill. And I think anyone who really wants to be kind of any leader of significance has to get comfortable in that place.
Amen. I'm with you, Tim.
Yeah.
Listen up, future leaders.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you for this time, Tim. I'm going to have you back on another Spot On chat. I really appreciate your time.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.